Hey everybody, my name is MetalMusicMan.
And I am Professor Lex.
And this is episode 27?
6?
27? 26?
Lord.
We
We don't have that much research
20,
or anything to do.
27, I was right.
27, I was wrong.
Episode 27, Lex, you
caught
fool. Episode 27 of the Metal and Lex podcast. And we're going to jump right in here because Lex and I just made a giant pizza. We made a giant pizza. We ate so many pieces of pizza.
We made two pizzas.
Yes.
Normally I take the big dough ball and I divide it into three and I bring two of them over here. Today I brought the big dough ball.
He gave me his whole ball. Lex brought the whole ball and I consumed it.
Here we consumed it.
So we were just talking about we were getting into I wanted to start this podcast really quickly, so we're diving in here.
Rolling.
Lex was telling me about how we were talking about. Okay, the preface lead up is we were talking about fighting game things as we are often want to do, St. Louis things, and then it became St. Louis fighting game people. And then I stereotypically couldn't remember two anime St. Louis fighting game black players. I was smart enough to know they weren't the same person.
They both wear glasses. They both have names that start with the letter A.
Yes, but my brain was like, is that a Treese or Eric?
I'm a black person whose name starts with the letter A, and I wear glasses and
we already know this. You're Greek or Iranian or something. We already had that podcast.
My mistake.
So then when I said that, Lex jumped in and he was like, hey, anime things are like the struggle of black people. And I was like, I watched a YouTube video once about how it was basically like, why do black dudes like karate movies? And anyway, Lex is going to tell us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So as the RZA has famously taught us to say.
From the Wu-Tang Clan.
Of the Wu-Tang. He said that the story of Son Goku perfectly parallels the story of the black man in America.
Perfect.
And while I disagree, it's not exactly a perfect metaphor.
I don't remember Martin Luther King doing a Kamehameha. That
would have, if he had done a Kamehameha wave and blasted racism away.
If he had,
yeah, hell yeah.
That would
we'd probably get 2 days off.
Oh my.
So it will actually, I've revoked his weeb license. He's not even allowed to enjoy Grand Blue anymore.
I've only ever been barely a weeb at best. That's
liar. You fucking liar. You watch Guts.
Berserk. I like Berserk, and yes, I am not a weeb, but I'm not a weeb either.
Yeah, but anyway, that all ends today. I'm taking your card.
Okay.
Because fucking Will hasn't seen Dragon Ball. I was like, you know the story of Goku, and he's like, loosely.
Yeah, no, I watched Dragon Ball in the boonies where I lived when I went to a friend's house who had satellite, but we didn't have satellite, we had cable, and it was this shitty cable company called Heartland Cable.
I thought that
because the heartland of the
Heartland of America.
The Heartland of America.
That's where Joe Biden's going to go to rally some votes.
Yeah, and he's going to have his hairy legs, and everything's going to be great. He's gonna. The kids would they would climb on my. I live for Lex's Biden impression at this point. Anyway, yeah. So I knew of it, and I always thought it was really cool, but I just didn't have the channel. So I would go over, my friend would be like, "Oh man, the last X episodes, things would occur." Yeah, and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck's. So I couldn't really get into it. I thought it was neat, but anyway.
The bright colors.
So I've never seen it.
Okay, so here's the thing. So Goku is from another world, right?
Yes, but which I actually didn't know. I thought he was like a normal dude.
No, he's not. He's a Saiyan.
I know he's a Saiyan, but aren't
no, those are Earthlings you're thinking of.
Everyone who is a Saiyan is not an Earthling?
Well,
even though they look the same, like Vegeta is not.
Vegeta's a Saiyan.
But I know, but that means they're not. He's categorically, not Saiyans are not from Earth.
No, they're from a different planet.
I never knew that.
Okay. So Frieza
they look so similar.
Frieza subjugated the Saiyan race, right?
Oh God!
Yeah,
I'm already immediately drawn into your initial preface.
And what's his face? Goku's father, Bardock, was trying to make sure that, depending on the which retcon you're working with, he either was trying to make sure that Goku would live like a sort of a Superman, last son of Krypton, where he shot him off to Kansas to make sure that he wouldn't blow up on Krypton.
Sure.
You know the story of Superman.
Okay.
So
I do know that story.
In the most recent telling of events, Bardock sent him off to Earth to protect him from his home planet being blown up by Frieza. And that's what killed like 99% of Saiyans. Basically everyone except for Goku, Vegeta, and Vegeta's cousin. I don't remember his name.
Irrelevant cousin person.
Yeah, that guy. But when I was growing up, he sent Goku to Earth to conquer it, but Goku hit his head and forgot that he was supposed to conquer Earth, and so we got the Dragon Ball series instead. Anyway, about black people. Okay. The important part is that Goku is on this foreign land that is hostile to him, that isn't his. That he has to find a way to carve a path and use the things that uniquely make him him in order to carve a path and make a life. Because are
you going to tell me that I never noticed that all black people have superpowers at some point?
What? No, why? What? Why are you laughing?
You didn't know that? Of course not. Of course we do.
Come on, man. Okay, so
anyway, God.
Now that we've accepted the magical Negro stereotype,
yes.
Oh
my God. Please go on.
Yes.
Please enlighten me about Dragon Ball.
So the thing that made Goku looks like anybody else. He looks like any normal human, right?
Yes.
Even to the point where he fooled you by passing.
I had no idea they were different.
If he were a giant monkey under the light of the full moon, you would be able to tell him apart because he'd be this giant monkey, ripping things apart. So he has to channel that inner energy.
They become giant monkeys?
Under the light of the full moon as long as they have a tail. You really didn't watch much Dragon Ball.
As long as they have a tail. When does he have a tail?
In Dragon Ball. Eventually, Master Roshi, he was transforming and Master Roshi had to stop him. So Master Roshi blew up the moon. I'm not sure how that came back. Okay. I didn't watch Dragon Ball as closely as I did Dragon Ball Z. But Gohan, who is half Saiyan, half human, had a tail. And then
I vaguely remember people turning into weird monkey things, but I don't remember them having. Monkey. They just always have tails?
They're supposed to, and that's what they were born with, was a tail, until fucking they had to cut it off in order to pass in society. Okay. In fact, it wasn't Gohan he didn't oh man, I have to cut my tail loose. It's getting me into too much trouble. Piccolo shot his tail off. Or no, wait, that was Krillin. No, Krillin.
Piccolo's a Saiyan?
Piccolo is a Namekian from the planet Namek. Okay,
yeah, right. So Piccolo's not a black dude.
Piccolo is a black dude, but that's a different story.
Piccolo is a black dude, and Goku is a black dude.
Piccolo is absolutely black. Ask any black person.
Okay, but I don't mean that. I mean, in our analogy, though. What is he?
Only Saiyans are black. He's, I don't know, like Indian, some non-white, non-passing minority.
Okay.
This is really hard to do, Will.
This is why I'm so glad that I forced you into it.
Straight into
Lex thought this was just going to be a weird preface.
Yeah, I thought I was just going to be like, oh yeah, black people.
He was just going to casually say this, and I was like, no, we're recording right now. I need to hear this story. I need to be educated.
You need the internet to know.
Yes.
Yeah. No. So I'm pretty sure it was Piccolo shot off Gohan's tail because
Gohan is Goku's kid?
son.
Yes. Okay. I did know that. I just wanted to verify.
He shot off his tail because he got real big and destructive and needed to reel it in but couldn't. So they removed his tail. They took away what that means to be to a Saiyan.
Oh man.
So that he could pass in polite society under the light of the full moon.
Is that good if we're following the metaphor? That doesn't sound good.
No, it's bad.
No. I know losing the tail is bad, but is having the tail good? I feel like that implies actual bad negative stereotypes of black people. That seems so bad. That
it does seem bad because it is bad.
If I'm following this analogy completely, that sounds so horrible. Actually,
but consider that the whole planet of Saiyans was just fine with their tails.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
It represents an incongruity with the Earth society, rather than just suggesting that black people are destructive.
Okay.
Dragon Ball just as a series, especially in the early days, was pretty racist. They didn't.
Well, yeah, as a lot of anime tends to be, because in my experience, Japanese people be hella racist.
Well,
I don't know. Or at least their media is
consider that
That's a racist statement in and of itself.
Consider that the majority of Japan's exposure to black people was in the form of like
American media, which
drew black folk as like pickaninny.
So it is your assessment that there weren't basically no black people in Japan.
They didn't know better,
and all they had was like Aunt Jemima or worse, basically.
And that's how we got Mr. Popo, right? Oh, please Google Mr. Popo.
I feel like I know that. Is it just like generic blackface person? Because that's what's coming to mind.
It's worse.
It's worse?
It's worse. Okay. I would say that's probably...
Mr. Popo Dragon Ball?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Do you see him smiling?
No.
Just look for one with the tooth dangling. No?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So this is like when someone says that Jinx is racist in Pokemon, but then you have the defense of being like, look, man, it wasn't colored art. She could have been supposed to be
purple.
Yeah,
sort
except that
color.
This isn't color. And this is...
and the color they chose.
Do you remember sometimes
black.
we talk about things and you're like, hey, man... blackface, and I'm like, yeah, fuck blackface, but also I don't think it's blackface to just have a black painted face. Like you can have black. I mean, if you're imitating a black person, that's blackface. But like sometimes people will like clearly not be trying to be quote unquote a black person, but their face, their face is black for a different reason. And then like the Twitterverse will be like, you're doing blackface. And I'm like, that's not blackface. His face is black, but it's not blackface. This is blackface.
This is blackety black.
This is literally. This is like, okay, all I can think of for this is that someone was like, hey guys, have you seen Aladdin? What if we made the best mashup of all time of the worst blackface stereotypes and Aladdin? Because that's what this guy looks like to me. It is literally blackface Aladdin.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Please tell me he isn't voiced by Robin Williams.
He is not, to the best of my knowledge, voiced by Robin Williams. But he does have sort of a dopey, like, voice. I'm Mr. Popo. Yeah. Oh my God. It's real bad.
How long was this character a thing?
It's not like he died.
He's still a thing?
I haven't seen him in any recent media. But
he's been censored. He was recolored blue?
What? And made him look like...
this is from 2018. There's an article about how... Oh, God, this is recording my audio. I just clicked the video. Excuse me. There's this weird YouTube video about how he was, like, recolored blue. Yeah. Oh, God, that's...
Help me out. Is it like a light blue, a dark blue?
It's like a blue. It's like if you went into MS Paint and clicked blue.
Okay.
That's
descriptive.
Base blue that has no
That's pretty weird.
Yeah, I guess he was recolored blue. And then they okay, so I'm clicking this video's on pause. I'm clicking through this video like viewing scenes. Okay, I'm not actually watching it. It's paused. I muted it. So I'm not really watching it. As I'm clicking through, I get about 80% through the video. I've clicked through, there's like articles. I see like a drawn picture of Mr. Popo, another drawn picture of Mr. Popo. Then there's like a picture of Piccolo. Then there's the blue Mr. Popo, and there's like a side by side. And then I get about like 80 or 90% through the video. And there's just a bunch of fucking screenshots of Jinx in the Pokemon anime. And I'm like, whoever made this video is having the same conversation.
The same issue.
Yeah, they're having the exact same. Yeah. Like it's Jinx kissing Pikachu. Jinx, and then like she's apparently black in this one. And then there's another one where she's purple.
She was black, and then they recolored her purple after the Santa Claus episode of Pokemon.
I don't even know.
Which was in the first season. It was like a holiday special.
Well, that is egregious. Mr. Popo is pretty egregious. That's like, I feel like that makes Jinx look tame, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
By comparison. Well, maybe not quite tame.
Original Jinx is pretty problematic. But
okay, I gotta look up original Jinx. I don't remember the original
Christmas
one being
Jinx.
that bad, but I was very young. So original Jinx Pokemon. Yeah. Which one is this is Pokemon what? Like,
are you looking at the sprites for Red and Blue?
That's what I want to. Is that what I should Google? Pokemon Red? So Jinx Pokemon Red sprite, basically. I don't remember it that well. Jinx Pokemon Red sprite.
It sucked because she's like Ice Psychic type, which was my two favorite types back when I was like 8.
You couldn't play her?
Well, no, I could, but you know.
Okay,
Now look up Jinx from the Christmas episode.
I feel like this is less problematic, if I'm being honest, but I could be stupid.
They clarified it's definitely problematic in the anime.
Oh, now wait a minute. Here's one that is worse. So I don't know which sprites are which, I think is the problem. But when they're in, I feel like when they're okay, yes. I feel like when they're in like black and white, it's not as bad.
I feel like color.
But when they add, so there's
and you're like, oh.
Yes, there's a comparison to what I just found. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I don't think the red and blue ones were necessarily as terrible, if I'm being honest. So, I mean, they're not. I see
they're
it.
I'm not good.
I'm not. Yeah. But I don't feel bad about being in third grade and not realizing any connotation to this and just being like, it's a weird looking lady.
You were in third grade.
Sure, but this is my point.
Okay.
So or whatever. Well, not third. It was probably fifth.
You were
probably
like
fifth grade or
high school, or you were freshman year of college.
I was 25. But so the black and white one is like, I see it now, right? But like, I don't really feel like you necessarily might if you were like a younger kid, as most people were. But then they have juxtaposed against it below it, they have what I assume is like Pokemon Yellow or Pokemon.
It could have been yellow or
whatever one is like partial color, and it's just not only are her lips like pink, but she's like doing this shitty kissing face that she wasn't doing in the other sprite, and that one is like way worse. Anyway,
it's 2020. We're not here to police how Japanese people drew black people 30 years ago or whatever.
Which is America's fault, as I just learned now on this podcast.
Mostly. They could have done better.
They
could have found an actual black person and been like, can we draw Mr. Popo? And have them be like, no.
They definitely weren't. What was Dragon Ball? The 80s? They weren't advanced.
Yeah, I think it was like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, they didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know.
But yeah.
Anyway, Dragon Ball.
That's what you guys came here for. That's what's on the title card, right?
I think it will be now. Yeah. So yeah, Dragon Ball. Did we finish the whole line? That's Dragon Ball and black people. The struggle. Did you? Or is there more to the?
That's Riz's argument on it. That's what he was saying.
The foreign struggle of oppression and finding the strength in the things that you were demonized for.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's pretty cool.
It's an interesting interpretation because, again, that's not what they meant when they set out and made it.
Well, a lot of things are that way, though. A lot of things don't. I mean, we've talked about
the nature of
we can make an analog to all the fighting game stuff we talked about. We've had several episodes where we talk about the happy accident of Melee, and I feel like it's really not that different in a narrative. I mean, there's probably a lot of things there's things in shows that you like that like didn't really intend to be as forward thinking. So one of my favorite ones, we can launch off into this. Okay. So have you seen do you know about Star Trek?
Yes. I've heard of it.
Oh, okay. So this is like the same thing.
All of the original series up until The Trouble with Tribbles, and then I stopped.
Okay, so I think the real Star Trek, and I will probably get a lot of flack from this, but the real Star Trek is what?
I said I'm just looking for engagement.
Yeah. The real one is Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. They're part of the same universe. Voyager's in there too, but Voyager's like a lot lower quality, although it's still good. But like TNG and DS9 are Star Trek. The original series is Star Trek 2, but it's Star Trek the way that Street Fighter 1 is Street Fighter.
Okay.
There are some good things in the original series. There are some episodes that are really good. There's actually a really good episode on like racism, and they had like the first black and white kiss and things, and everybody knows this. There are a lot of good things about the original series. I'm not saying it's bad, but it didn't really know quite what it was, and so it's a lot campier, kind of the way like early Buffy is really campy before it gets
totally valid.
Okay, maybe you really do like the original series. I don't know. But like it's exactly like that because it is, in my opinion, like they hadn't quite figured it out.
They were finding out what it meant to be it.
Yeah. So to me, like TNG and DS9 are like the pure Trekkie thing. And then everything after TNG and DS9 after Voyager is like it's never really gotten back to where it was. It's had varying levels of success with Enterprise, and Discovery's largely panned by most people. Picard was like, it started out, Picard's the newest one, the new one. It started out, I was so hyped. I was like, oh my God, it's doing all the things. It has this line where Picard himself, he talks about what the Federation has become, but it's a direct like analog and monologue about the actual Star Trek series and how it has become this. Yeah. And how it has become this shitty thing. And he's like, it wasn't the Federation anymore. They fucking changed it. And like, basically that's like fan service to all the Star Trek people being like, oh man, it really was like different shit. Cause all those the new Star Trek movies were not Star Trek.
Oh, no, those are weird.
They're good. They're good action movies. Mm-hmm. They're just not Star Trek. They're not Star Trek.
Just like Street Fighter V isn't Street Fighter V.
Yes.
Isn't Street Fighter.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. It is the, so anyway, oh fuck, how did I get on this? I already lost my train of thought. Star Trek things, series,
what it means to be real. Voyagers, Deep Space Nine.
Fuck, I was in a place and now it's, I'm so lost. Damn it.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, Star Trek. Oh, I got it. Okay.
We got it.
So I was gonna watch, Star Trek with my friend, Wilson, who has also never seen it. And I'm really stoked because there's so much stuff in Star Trek that talks about kind of like these things where it's like what it means to be what you are. There's a lot of like cool stuff about Klingons that they do and don't get right, like, and the Klingons started out as like in the original series, they're like a little bit more, problematic, I guess, where it's just like generic black dude looking people. And they like kind of convert them to like a proper alien race, but that also has
the Great White Burden, except in space.
Yeah, yeah. So it's such a great show that covers like some of this same kind of cerebral stuff that you've been bringing up, where they really address like societal things and what it means to be blah blah. And anyway, where I'm going with this is there's a lot of interesting stuff that they do between The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, because Deep Space Nine has like the first black captain, and he's very different than Picard. Mm-hmm. Picard is like the moral absolutism of purity. It doesn't mean he's infallible, but like everything he says, you're just like, yeah, even when he's wrong, you're like, I get why you're wrong. And he eventually admits it, even if he has trouble with it and blah, blah. And Cisco, who is the DS9 captain, is very different than that. Like not even remotely. And I remember like watching that, and I don't know, maybe Dragon Ball was this way, or I'm not sure, but like I remember when I first watched it. Obviously, I have never watched it as a black person, but I remember.
Thank God.
I remember being vaguely annoyed with Cisco early on because he was like so different than Picard was, and I wanted like another that. Because that was like what I was used to.
It worked for you and you wanted
it
again.
and each captain is a little different, but I was like, man, this guy's like kind of like a weird dick to people, and I don't know. But what I thought was really interesting about like that character that was different is like, because Picard was such like he's so great, but like he isn't, I mean, I don't want to say he's like flat, but he's not as multidimensional as a character that has like more inner conflicts could be, because Picard's inner conflicts are all like, that he doesn't like children or whatever the fuck. Whereas like Cisco has like the inner conflict of being like a black person generally, even though they're in the future and things are better. But what makes it like so much better for certain episodes where they do tackle things like that is that like, well, I mean, I don't know about better, but it's different, and it's better in different ways. Picard would have an episode that's like, fuck you for fucking cutting off the tails of these Super Saiyans, right? Mm. Like, this is fucking wrong. I'm gonna like fucking take a stand and fuck you. And you're like, yeah, like that's what Star Trek is so good about it, is like it has this moral cerebral quandary element to it that it doesn't have anymore. It doesn't have that. It's just like lens flares and explosions.
That's because you should play Mass Effect.
Well,
okay. You go ahead. I'll circle back on this later.
You're pinning it?
Yeah.
So it's all like, and it has lost the element of what makes it what it is. Like it was this thing that was about like, hey, in this situation that's very difficult to deal with, what should you do? And sometimes the answer is that there isn't a good answer and everything's fucked, and here's why. And other times there is a very clear answer. And it analyzes those scenarios. And so what was super interesting about Cisco is they would have an episode where Picard would be like, yeah, don't cut off the tails of the weird Super Saiyan monkey people. Fuck you, it's fucking shitty. But Cisco would just be like, oh man, like here's some cool historical context and some personal like shit that makes this like different, that is I think they had done with like aliens before. Like Worf is one of the coolest characters in Star Trek, and he is played by a black dude, and not all Klingons are played by black dudes, but Klingons
Worf
generally
is.
have storylines that are vaguely, yeah, you're getting natted. Yeah, guys, in a couple of weeks, all the gnats will be dead, but until then, we're going to get assaulted.
Karate chopping.
Yeah, we're going to keep karate chopping. I have a roaming band of 10 or so gnats that seem to fuck and reproduce every single evening,
Jesus.
no matter how many of them I slay, that I can't. I'm waiting for it to get a little bit colder so they die off. Anyway, so Klingons have, there are a lot of storylines that are kind of vaguely early on where Klingons are like, you know,
what if
well,
they
or
were
Worf
black
specific, huh?
people? No, you're good.
No, what was that?
Where they're like, they're kind of black people, though. Is that what you're saying?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, there are episodes that are kind of like that in different ways. It's never that egregious, but like there are, it's generally about like, yeah, a different culture that maybe you don't understand, that like someone is prejudiced against. It's like it's the surface level.
Yeah,
kind of like what you're saying about Dragon Ball, right? Where it's like, we're
intentional
Goku
or not.
isn't a black dude, but he is a black dude.
Yeah.
That's sort of kind of the same deal. And so they go through that, but what's interesting about Deep Space Nine is that when they switch to Cisco, he like can both be like, here is a plot line about alien people. Also, I'm a black dude and here's some stuff. B, he can be like, also, I'm a black dude and I'm on the wrong side of this situation that's the same as black dude side, which is interesting. And then C, one of my favorite ones is where they do an episode, and this is like the kind of thing about Star Trek that I think people don't get. They can do whatever they want for whatever storyline they want in the same way that like Buffy and Angel can, because it's a show about outer space with crazy technology and all these things. And so you can just be like, hey, we're going to like they would do this in The Next Generation. They'd be like, we're going to have an episode where this entire episode is about how the holodeck malfunctions and everyone is a character from Robin Hood because the holodeck malfunctioned and everyone is that. And you're in the middle of watching Star Trek and it's like an entire episode about Robin Hood as Merry Man. It's like a 3-part fucking cliffhanger and everybody's fucking doing Shakespearean dialect, right? So they do that in DS9, but they have an episode that, and so, what's his name? Avery something. I forget his last name, but that's the guy who plays Cisco. He like directs some of them. And there's one where he's like, fuck it, black people episode. And it's this episode about basically all of the black actors, whether they play like black humans or black aliens or whatever, all the black actors are characters in this little mini series about, it's like America in the 50s-ish.
Okay. Maybe
Maybe 60s. I'm not sure. Around. I don't know enough about being oppressed because I'm white. But yeah, around the time that it was like, you know, mostly oppression, but not totally oppression. But well,
it's
so
still,
you know, any time
oppression
between now and the last 100 years.
Yeah. There we go.
So it's like, it's some like 50s-ish time period. And so Cisco's character is like an author at this paper, and he wants to write this story, and the story he's writing for the paper is the story about about his character in Star Trek. It's this crazy meta thing where Cisco is playing a guy, he's a black dude because he's a black dude, and he's writing for this paper in the 50s about this black starship captain.
Guy. Yeah.
And so then like the whole plot is like that the editor's like, this is too ridiculous. Like, we're talking about space. It can't be like a black captain. And it's so ridiculously meta.
Especially when you take into consideration the historical context around Star Trek.
Yeah.
Black folk in space.
Yeah. No.
Uhura. Yeah.
Yeah. Uhura. Exactly. So anyway, I forget why I brought this up, but we were talking about race and TV shows. and so it's vaguely on topic, but it's really cool because he goes to this whole thing where like he's in this alternate universe. And then so like all the different actors play these different characters and they have like different, totally different characters, but it ends up being like, I guess it's like a hallucination. And what is his last name? This is going to drive me nuts. Avery something. Cisco actor Avery. What the fuck is his name? Avery Brooks. God, that was going to drive me nuts. So Avery Brooks just acts his fucking ass off in this. And he has this emotional breakdown that's like the climax of the series where he keeps ping-ponging back and forth between being himself as like captain. Cisco as the captain and himself as like this other character. And he can't figure out like who he is. And there's this scene where the editor's like, fuck you. Like, I'm not going to fucking publish the story. You need to rewrite it and blah, blah, blah way. And Avery Brooks is kind of like known for being like basically insane. If you watch an interview with him, I mean, maybe not insane, but he's like he's definitely on another planet. That dude's like, the way his brain works is like, the best way I could think to describe it is if you try to have a conversation with someone and then when they spoke, it was like manic jazz music.
Oh, good. Okay. I love that type of person.
That's what he's like. It's very, you're like, man, I feel like you're either totally insane or a genius, and I can't tell which, but it might be both.
Yeah, but it's probably both.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, it ends with like, he has this breakdown and he's like, it's fucking, like, it's real. You can't fucking tell me that it's not real. Like, I wrote it and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, I guess what I'm getting to that makes this cool, even though I don't really remember how it relates to anything, is that apparently that whole thing is like, they had like an idea of how this scene went, and Avery Brooks just like goes off the fucking page and just has this fucking crazy screaming breakdown for 3 minutes. And all the other actors are just like, they're like, A, he's acting his ass off. B, we are very white and playing characters that are very oppressively white. And he's having this like very black experience moment. And it's so obvious, like they're both in character, like reacting to it, and out of character confused. Right. Yeah. It is the same kind of confusion, both as their real selves and as the characters.
He got him meted.
It is insane. So anyway, you should watch if you like the story of black people as through Space Ninja Monkey Super Saiyan, whatever the fuck they are.
There you go.
Then you should watch some Star Trek, because there's some really good shit in Star Trek, and especially like I said, TNG and DS9 are both the best too, in my opinion. Okay. And DS9 very explicitly like has that same thread. That's very interesting. So anyway, I don't remember why I started talking about that, but there's a story.
It was the intro. We were going to do an episode about dead games, but
that episode is dead.
That episode is dead and gone.
That episode is as dead as the games.
Now we're talking about
it's as dead as the games.
See a Marvel. No, okay. So I was going to tell you to play Mass Effect. This doesn't have as much to do with black people. Sorry. I'm breaking the rules.
I'm just going to title this episode Black People and call it a day.
Question mark.
What could go
Yeah, no. I'm sure people will love that. I'm sure that you will get accolades.
What could go wrong?
What's the opposite of canceled? That's accepted.
Oh, yeah. Mass Effect.
You should play Mass Effect because someone very favorably described it once as if Star Trek were more interesting. And
no. Fighting words, Alex.
I didn't say them.
Them's fighting words.
Just someone said it. I was giving you a quote. It's boring
because they need explosions, and that is what is wrong with new Star Trek.
Yes,
because it's too much about the explosions and not about the substance.
And that's what would be wrong with Mass Effect, except
it's substance and explosions.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
And
there are more explosions in DS9.
Oh, wow. And that's the one with Avery Brooks?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think TNG is it's a less good narrative than DS9, but I think it's a better pure Star Trek. But that's hard. They're both so good.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to tangent to tangent.
I'm ready.
When I was younger, I watched a lot of television over my dad's shoulder, like he was watching TV and I'd be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he watched some TNG, and I do remember the episode where what's his face gets blinded.
Geordi?
Sure.
Well, Geordi's always blind, so that's different.
Geordi?
Geordi's the black dude with the visor. He's LeVar Burton.
Yeah.
The Reading Rainbow guy.
Okay, so here's where this may or may not be true that I saw that episode. I remember that happening, and I remember him being blinded. And it's also about the same time that You Don't Know Jack and Cleopatra 2525 came on.
Okay.
Do you know either of those shows?
I don't know that I do.
Do you know our man's Bruce Campbell?
I know Bruce Campbell.
Okay, so he was he played the titular Jack in You Don't Know Jack.
That sounds vaguely familiar. He was in Hercules and Xena. I remember that.
Yes, he was great.
He always is.
So he played the main character in You Don't Know Jack, but the point is all of these television shows run together, and if you knew Cleopatra 2525, which was basically about strippers in space.
That sounds vaguely familiar. I'm going to Google it.
You would be mad at me for blurring all three of these shows together. Because that's what happened. Just it's a function
You're telling me you have confused a show about strippers in space and Bruce Campbell with Star Trek?
Bruce Campbell is in a different show, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So the episode where LeVar Burton gets blinded, didn't he have like space sand thrown in his eyes?
No, he was born blind, if memory serves.
I haven't seen enough.
I'm fairly certain Geordi was born.
There's a Star Trek episode where a monster throws space sand in a black guy's eyes and it blinds him. That's all I have to all I have to contribute. That's all I remember of the Next Generation.
I'm fairly certain he was born blind. I would say with almost 100% certainty that he was born blind. Like I think you're insane.
I'm confusing 3 different shows.
Correct. He is blind since birth.
Okay.
Yeah. According to Star Trek
Did you
Wiki.
Google space sand? Because I feel like I'm not being properly represented.
Oh
by
my
Google.
God! Am I calling this episode "Black People in Space"? I think that might be it. That might be it.
But play Mass Effect because the part of the game that everyone likes to talk about is the shooting and how it's basically like a slightly worse RPG-ier version of Gears of War. Oh, part that nobody talks about and that everybody should talk about.
Worse than Gears of War? There's no way Mass Effect isn't better than Gears of War.
It's a better game.
Better in every way. It has to be.
Not a better cover shooter.
Okay. All right.
It's like that time that you told me that I was wrong to be mad at Call of Duty for winning sound design over Resident Evil 2.
You probably were.
I wasn't. I'm still not. Anyway, beside the point, let's go back. There's sound a whole design? Bunch of sound design.
All right.
Resident Evil 2 deserves it.
All right. There's a lot of guns, Alex.
I'm so mad. I know. Who gives a shit? They all the blam blam blam. I can do it. I'm a fucking Call of Duty sound designer.
I forgot that conversation occurred when you initially mentioned it, and then when I had the thought in my own head, man, I don't know. There's a lot of guns they'd have to do. I remembered saying that exact thing. That was what jogged my memories.
Where nothing is not predictable. Time is a flat circle.
I was like, no, I definitely made that exact argument when we talked about it. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of politics in Mass Effect that you like. That's where the core of the morality system of the game circles around. There is a race of big sort of lizard folk people called the Krogans, right? And they're smart enough to get to space, so they're clearly not dumb. And so, like, they had this reputation as being horrible killers who almost conquered the galaxy because that's their shtick. They like to conquer. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, back in their conquering heyday, they like fucked like rabbits and reproduced in such great numbers. There was no way to contend with them because any one of them was a monster, and they'd have like 10 children rolling out, a year later. So that was why they were so formidable in space compared to these people.
Space rabbit conquerors.
Yeah, but they're lizard, like big round
lizard rabbit.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
So other alien Solarian scientists created this thing called the genophage, which we'll say slowed down their reproductive capabilities and made them not a threat. It kept them from conquering the galaxy. But the problem is that where they used to have like 100 children, they would now have like 1 children and 99 stillbirths, which is like fucked, right?
They genetically engineered them intentionally to have shitty ability to breed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fucked.
They performed eugenics on these people. This race of people.
Ooh, there's a lot of good eugenics stuff in Star Trek. Yeah. They have eugenics wars and they outlaw it. It's a whole lore. It's a whole lore thing.
It's pretty bad.
Okay, we're gonna pin that. And we're gonna talk about Gattaca, and I'm gonna try really hard not to get canceled for the 17,000th time.
Oh no.
Have you seen Gattaca?
No, I don't know what that means.
Okay, pin it. Moving on.
So as the Commander Shepard, you are responsible at a certain point for deciding, like, is it that fucked that the genophage happened? Should you stop it? If you had the means, if there was a cure for the genophage, should you find it before other people do? And when you have it, should you use the cure? Okay,
wait a minute. I thought the genophage were made to be...
The genophage is basically like a disease.
Yeah.
That hurt the Krogans and made them...
But is the disease manufactured?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The disease is manufactured. That's what the genophage was.
Gotcha.
So there comes a point in the game where you find a cure for the genophage, or you find that there is a cure for the genophage, and then you have to decide, should I give this to the Krogans? Should they be able to reproduce in mass like they did before when they almost conquered the galaxy? And then it's like, you need the Krogans to help you fight the Reapers, and the Reapers are just going to eliminate the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, is it fucked up that you're only going to be giving the cure for the genophage so that you can protect the universe? Shouldn't you have just done it in the first place?
Yes.
Yeah, the whole thing is really interesting, and
that's cool.
That specific argument spans 3 games. I haven't played the 4th game to tell you, but
I hear it's terrible. Yeah, that's cool. That's definitely like the stuff. Yeah, that's the stuff Star Trek is about 100%. So Gattaca is a movie about eugenics, where all of the characters are played by white people because it was made in the 90s. I'm just now realizing this. And
hey, your eyes are open now.
And how that's very funny. But it's actually a great movie. It's Ethan Hawke, Jude Law, and Uma Thurman.
Love them.
Yeah, they're all good, right?
Yeah, my dad has a huge crush on Uma Thurman.
Oh, nice. She's hot. Did you get a gnat in your eye?
I hope not. Can I check?
Yeah, Lex is dying right now, so we're gonna. Guys, there are some gnats in this apartment. The summer has not been kind to me this year, and it might be that Professor Lex is dying. And if he is, I'm just going to continue narrating it from afar, and I will not rush in to help him because I'm just that dedicated to my journalistic integrity.
It does not seem that I have a gnat
all right.
in my eye, but it is bright red.
You should stop doing the swatting at your eye, I think.
I'm not touching the eye itself. I'm going around because I'm tearing up.
Yeah, but that doesn't that make it worse? Isn't that the bads?
Is it?
Lex is, if you can't hear him, I don't know if you can or not. He's saying his eye is tearing up. And I'm trying to tell him not to. Don't poke it. Don't scratch your mosquito bite. Later, I'm gonna play Lex in fighting games, and he'll only have one good eye, and I will.
It won't have been the first time you've done that to me.
There's a gay joke in there somewhere. So before we resume, Lex is now questionably alive. He still looks mostly dead.
I think if I keep the eye closed, I'm fine.
Oh my goodness, are you gonna be okay, sir?
As long as I don't need to see.
I hope you haven't made all of your eyelid issues even worse. Lex's eyelid has cancer.
I got it.
Oh, he got it.
Yeah.
The poop fell out. Was it a gnat?
If it was, it's gone.
Okay. Lex pooped a gnat out of his eye. So anyway, Gattaca. Gattaca. Uma Thurman, Jude Law, Ethan Hawke. Cool movie. It's about eugenic stuff. It's in the future, and people can pick what they want their babies to be like. So, whether your eyes
every
are...
mother can choose the color of her child. Well, that's not nature's way.
Yeah, that's true.
What they said yesterday.
Is this a...
There's nothing left to do but pray.
I don't know.
Virtual insanity. Jamiroquai.
Go ahead. Jamiroquai. He did things with a weird hat in the 90s.
He slid around
on floors that were actually walls moving. I watched the making of that video on Pop-Up Video because I'm old as fuck.
You're quite old.
And Pop-Up Video VH1 was the thing that I watched. Anyway, it's about eugenical stuff. People can pick things for their babies, and Ethan Hawke's character is fucked up and shouldn't have been born because he has lots of fucked up things.
Sick?
Yeah, it's like he has asthma. He's I guess he's the black Goku of this story, as it were, if we're following that. Except that he's a white dude because it was a movie made by Hollywood in the 90s. But he can't he can't run as well. He can't perform physically, mentally, just everything about him is, he could be a normal human today, but he's just so much shittier than every other person who is perfectly, good to go. And so the movie kind of explores those implications. Jude Law was the perfectest of perfectness. And then he I think he breaks his legs or something. He was an African, he was an athlete or something. And he somehow he's crippled, but he was the shit. He was the shit, even considering. Yeah. And so somehow or another, it's the whole movie is about this ruse where Ethan Hawke uses Jude Law's genetics to become some sort of astronaut pilot person in this future time because he can't pass all the tests. There's a lot of cool stuff in it, including a really cool scene where Ethan Hawke, it's his, I think it's his brother. Yeah. His brother is a detective, but he's passing for someone else, and he doesn't know that he's his brother. He thought he like died or something as a kid. I don't remember the plot exactly, but there's some cool stuff where he like has like a swim off versus his brother once they realize who they are, and like the whole point of it is that like because he's not perfect, he like, which is kind of a shitty point to make, but it's kind of cool in terms of the climactic moment. It's like he's like the reason I can like win is because I never saved anything for the swim back, because I can just like, I'm just going to accept that I'm going to die because that's all I can do to be as good, or so. I don't remember it. I'm fucking it up. But anyway, it's cool. My point being, there are things about that movie that were like legitimately horrifying, sure, and things that aren't. And this is always like, but I think that's the point of the eugenics conversation, right? Is like, where does the line come? And Star Trek has like a similar deal. If you remember like the new Star Trek movie, like Khan from
didn't see that one.
Okay, he's played by Cumbernickel Bumbersquatch.
Yeah.
No, Cumbernickel Bumbersquatch.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you said his name wrong.
Yeah, respect on his name.
It's Bean Satchel Campbell-Nick. So anyway, he plays Khan, which is weird. And he's like genetically perfect or whatever, and he is like the reason the eugenics wars occurred, because it was like they were trying to do, you know, the perfect thing of making everybody perfect. Am I just like monumentally naive to think that there might not be that much of a slippery slope? I mean, if I'm talking societally as a whole, obviously I think it would slide into oblivion because society is fucking stupid. But like if individually, I guess how do you stop individually? I'm not like if someone's like, I want to make my kid, you know, not have crippled legs when he's born, or I want to make my kid's eyes brown because I'm stupid.
Racist.
Like, is eye color racist? I don't.
Well, no, not necessarily.
But I mean, I understand the argument, but like slippery slope arguments are a logical fallacy. Period.
Well, yeah.
But they're also not always irrelevant. They're not. Yes, they're not always wrong.
Isn't there a logical fallacy that states that just because something is a logical fallacy doesn't mean it isn't a good argument?
Well, I don't know about it, but if it does, that might be my favorite logical fallacy.
I think that's one.
That sounds like one.
Latin, but I think
my favorite logical fallacy is the fallacy of the middle, which is like whenever two people are arguing, some dumbass. This is my brother. He comes in and he's like,
Democrat.
and he's like, hey guys, I'm sure there's some truth to both sides.
Where you've got one guy who's like, let's kill all black people, and someone who's like, how about black people have rights?
And then they're like, whoa, I'm sure there's a happy medium ground where we only kill some of the black people. I wasn't going to go there, but that is thematically appropriate to this podcast. My favorite example is someone says the sky is blue and someone says the sky is red. And then fallacy of the middle guy comes in and he's like, hey man, there's a happy medium. The sky's clearly purple. And you're like, no, the sky is not purple. It's fucking blue. You're stupid. Anyway, that's my favorite one. If yours exists, that's a good one though. I don't know about it.
I think it's one.
But anyway, yeah, I'm always like, when I think about it, like whenever it's brought up in like media like that, it's like, on the one hand, I could absolutely see why, like, because, yeah, like, we're stupid. Society's so stupid. There would absolutely be people who were, like, doing...
Abused it day one.
Yeah. But do you think there's no happy medium at all? Or not even happy medium? Do you think there's no happy toe in the pool?
There's no merit to it?
Yeah, because I feel like if you could look at someone and be like, your life is going to be horrible because your legs won't work right, or you'll have... Yeah, I mean, or something worse than asthma, even, like, obviously, like,
sure.
you'll be severely mentally handicapped and blah, blah, blah. If you could fix that, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we cured polio, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, to me, like, part of the eugenics, like, conversation, whenever it's in, like, the sci-fi media when I watch, because it's a fairly common topic, because, you know, it's a good narrative.
It's a thing that we can't do, so.
Sort of, yeah, we're, like, on a weird cusp. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, I definitely see, like, how it can go bad, but at the same time, it's like, fuck, dude, like, if you could just, like, tell somebody that they weren't gonna, you know, I guess you need an ethics committee, and what's to say that that's gonna go correctly and not be swayed in some...
Well, yeah, because you could always subvert a committee. Committees are fallible.
Yeah, they're shitty. I think that's why it is such an interesting topic, though, right? Because, like, it is something that doesn't have no merit. It does have merit. Yeah. It has actually a lot of positive merit.
Wouldn't it be really cool if the thing...
But it's also like, where is your line of like, And I think the answer for everybody is like a little bit different, which is probably why it is such a common theme.
In sci-fi specifically, yeah.
I think there's like a 99% chance I'm calling this episode Black People in Space.
Okay, so if that is the case... Black people in space, for or against?
Or am I for black people being in space?
Dude, this is a layup. You can't.
Okay, well,
come on, man. Oh, how are you going to ask me to clarify? How are you going to ask me to slow down? Repeat the question you just said.
It was such an absurdly simple question that my brain was. It's like when somebody asks you, like, "Hey, would you like $500 for free?" You're like, "Hey, wait a minute, motherfucker."
There's no catch.
You have inadvertently. Would you like black people to be in space? Hey, wait a minute. That sounds too good to be true.
What are they going to do up there?
So yes, obviously black people in space. Go on.
Cool, same. No, that's it. That was... I figured you needed like a soundbite or something to keep it from getting canceled.
Well, that went. If that was the purpose, that went horribly wrong.
Yeah, right? Imagine the look on my face.
I can guarantee I will not make the thumbnail for this episode, Mr. Popo. I can tell you, I am at least that evolved or enlightened. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe next time we'll talk about dead games because that's not a topic we're touching tonight.
No, but, God, no, it's gone.
Yeah, no, this was good. I would be very curious to watch like an episode or two of some Trek with you at some point on some of them. There's a couple good. They're not even all the black people ones. That would be very silly, obviously. But like, there's just a lot of good Trek episodes in general. And there's I think if you've watched the original series, have you seen like the good episodes of the original series?
I've seen every episode numerically from the first episode to The Trouble with Tribbles.
Which season is The Trouble with Trills in?
I can't tell you.
I've seen that episode, but I actually haven't watched them all in order. I've seen like episodes here and there, like jumped around.
Curated list.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some absolutely ridiculous ones, and which it's not different from Buffy, but anyway. I don't know. Shows. This became about shows too.
Yeah.
Words. I think this is the end of the podcast. I'm running out of things.
That's fair.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I have been Metal Music Man.
And I've been Professor Lex.
And we will catch you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.